Mika here. Please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next parts.
The world has ended, yet life finds a way. Or perhaps something else entirely emerges from the ashes. Imagine being trapped, isolated inside a warehouse, while the world outside is consumed by an apocalypse. That's the reality for Jiang, Yom, but fate, or something far stranger, has other plans. He awakens to an unbelievable power, the ability to store anything in a parallel dimension. This newfound ability becomes his only weapon against the creatures wreaking havoc on the world. But Seoul is not safe. As he steps out, he'll find it's a shattered landscape where survival means confronting not only grotesque monsters, but also the hidden truths behind the devastation, all while desperately searching for his family. A drone surveys the scene. The facility workers are hard at work moving packages. The screen displays some of the recent accolades that the character has accomplished. A menacing monster lurks outside, but seemingly cannot get in. He's relieved to hear that. The screen displays we finished first place. The shipping speed is 60 km/h. A warning flashes, 2 minutes left until maintenance. Does that mean the logistics center has 2 minutes left? He can use the mana stone to supply energy to and maintain the facilities in the subspace. You currently have 1 mana stone, which can power the entire facility for 24 hours. Therefore, the PAX fulfillment center stored in your subspace runs on mana stones. Is that even possible? The energy supply to the facility has been cut off. If the energy supply is cut off, PAX Fresh and most other PAX products in PAX could face serious issues. PAX Fresh. The protagonist considers the importance of PAX Fresh, knowing in such a situation, food is the most fundamental element for survival. He's told the power has been cut off, but remembers that he can maintain the facility with mana stones. He obtains a mana stone from beings of another world. With the facility in jeopardy, he decides to use the mana stone to provide power to the facility. He wonders if he can still search for items. Before rummaging through boxes and finding blades, he notes that it's difficult to get close and swing these. I guess throwing them is the only option. He prepares to fight the monster, determined to buy some time for the repairs. He launches the blades with the resolve I can do this. Special forces for Youngjin. His attack seemingly misses, and the protagonist thinks to himself, damn it, what kind of muscles are those? Desperate, the protagonist wonders what to do. He spots heavy axes, and decides the only thing that might make a dent is the heavy axes. He checks the remaining stock of camping hand axe, and sees that there are 15. He wonders if he should have looked for something heavy like a wrecking ball instead. Yeah, if sharp objects won't work, maybe targeting joints with heavy objects would be a good idea. He investigates where the axes are located, noting when I first took it, there were 15. He finds the axes, but sees them duplicated on the ground, questioning why. Why is it duplicating? The system explains to him the items here are created by converting real objects into information. Therefore, they can be duplicated, and while they can be damaged or altered, they cannot be depleted. The protagonist muses this is an infinite stock logistics center. Now armed with this knowledge, he confidently states, I don't have to worry about inflicting terrible pain. I can just throw them freely, right? He says ship, automatically shipping the axe. The protagonist ships an axe toward the monster, yelling here you go. He throws another axe, hitting the monster's arm and drawing blood, thinking it works. The monster roars in pain, but continues to approach. He continues to launch axes, hitting its leg and causing the monster to stumble. He analyzes the situation, thinking it's definitely working, but it's hard to deal a fatal blow. More axes are shipped, let's keep going. He shouts as he launches another barrage, finally piercing the monster's head. Despite the monster's apparent defeat, he remains cautious. The monster collapses, and the protagonist sighs in relief. He sees the system notification you have defeated the Outbreak Orc. Outbreak Orc elimination reward, additional mana stone acquired. The protagonist checks his stats. He now has 2 mana stones. The system informs him that you can now maintain the facility in your subspace for 48 hours. He feels relieved he has bought time. For now, let's focus on what I need to do. He looks at the map of Seoul, thinking if I go to the main places first, it should be in this order. He plans his route, noting since I'm starting from Gunpo. He decides to use a bicycle as a means of transportation. He admires the electric bicycle, thinking, but right now, it's as good as a supercar. He pedals the bike, determined, thinking everyone, just hold on a little longer. He rides through the desolate landscape. 30 minutes after leaving the subspace. He has killed 12 orcs. In the process, he learned two things. First, about his ability, and second, that it's really an overpowered ability. The protagonist, still stuck in the subspace, contemplates his next move. The bizarre creatures he has encountered are not just orcs, and he wonders if he caught a deer. The protagonist recalls his recent struggles, deciding that anyway, it's good I put Pax into subspace. He thinks it is safe to get his family in the subspace, but is soon interrupted. He says, and then, the second thing I learned. The protagonist reflects on the challenges ahead, acknowledging it's got wings and is a higher-level monster than an orc. It's going to be tough to handle it. A desperate cry for help pierces the air. Startled, he recognizes a sorcerer. He's prompted to move quickly. As another employee, Mr. Choi, is attacked, he is grabbed and notices that the creature was originally targeting Mr. Choi. Wondering how to distract the winged beast, he draws his blade. With a blade drawn, the protagonist prepares to fight the winged beast, hoping to distract it from attacking Mr. Choi. The winged beast is struck and cries out, "What's that, you?" The protagonist notices blood from his attack, realizing that it is working, and he might just kill a wyvern with an axe. "Phew," he says, relieved. He wonders, is everyone okay? And sees the light. He then asks aloud, is everyone okay? He finds everyone is still alive. The survivors are shocked that the protagonist killed a wyvern by throwing an axe while riding a bicycle. Mr. Choi addresses the protagonist as soldier, and asks, "You're a soldier, right?" The survivors express their gratitude, thanking the protagonist for saving their lives. The protagonist says, "Ah, yes, I'm glad you're safe. However, I'm not a soldier. As you can see, I'm wearing the uniform of PAX FC." Mr. Choi says, "Ah, you're a PAX FC employee. I thought you were a soldier just from your attire." He goes on to say, even if you're not a soldier, you seem to have unusual skills. You caught a wyvern by throwing an axe while riding a bicycle. I see you awakened any abilities. The protagonist admits, yes, I also awakened an ability, though it's just a humble outbox ability. Mr. Choi introduces himself and his group. He states that they could use help in the area. Choi notes that there are no people around, but that Block C, where a logistics center is, typically has a lot of people gathered. Most of them are dead. Mr. Choi describes the grim situation, stating that many people were attacked and killed. They were looking for a road that vehicles could use to get some daily necessities. He mentions that the survivors are relatively isolated in Block B, underground terminal. Mr. Choi extends an offer. If you don't have a place to stay, you're welcome to join us. Mentioning it is on the 4th basement floor and mostly untouched by monsters, the protagonist contemplates whether to go with them, focusing on the fact that Mr. Choi mentioned vehicles, as he is more interested in acquiring information. He says, "I don't completely trust them. In that case, I can't refuse." As they set off, the protagonist keeps his guard up, thinking that if things go wrong, he can use his ability to escape into subspace. They walk through the desolate area, discovering a face they've never seen before, and that seems dangerous. The survivors are relieved, expressing their gratitude to the protagonist for saving them from the wyvern. Others discuss his background. The protagonist, covered in blood, is thanked profusely by a survivor, but thinks to himself, safe, the place was nearly attacked by monsters. Others express their gratitude and happiness to be alive. A survivor who has been saved exclaims, "You saved yourself and everyone." The people are thankful. The survivors express their appreciation to the protagonist for his kindness. Some joke with him, causing another survivor to chide them. Mr. Jin Wook, the center manager of Gibong Express Terminal, introduces himself and thanks the protagonist for saving Yangsu and Byungcheol. The protagonist introduces himself as Kum Jiang Hoon. Jin Wook welcomes him, stating, "Although we can't say this place is safe, it's more comfortable than outside." They share that they have food and water supplies from the logistics center, reassuring him, "Oh, feel free to eat as much as you want without feeling embarrassed." Mr. Jin Wook explains, "There's something I wanted to tell you. The logistics center, it's disappeared." The survivors react with shock and disbelief, questioning how such a large building could vanish. They reveal that the wyvern chased them because of it. One of the survivors says, "No matter what, we have to go through the tunnel." Another replies, "Come on, let's just force our way through." The protagonist perks up when vehicles are mentioned, inquiring if there are any working vehicles. The protagonist, Kum Jiang-hoon, learns from Mr. Jin-wook that the logistics center has disappeared, which shocks the survivors. They realize that the wyvern attacked them because of this event. The group resolves to go through the tunnel to the west, the only possible exit. They had been surviving by retrieving food and water from the logistics center, and Mr. Jin-wook exclaims they now have to force their way through. Learning that they have vehicles, the protagonist believes he should accompany them through the tunnel. He thinks that if it's just wyverns blocking the tunnel, then that's good. He knows he can catch them with his ability. The group prepares to depart, the protagonist resolving to not show them his abilities. They may catch wind, but don't overdo it for one game. He knows he has 5 magic stones, allowing him to reduce the cooldown to 2 seconds. Jang-hoon is confronted with the choice to enhance or create a delivery. He sees automatic delivery, automatically delivers designated items. The time interval can be set arbitrarily, deciding that the other options are better, stating, but the rest are incredibly good. He is shocked at what he has to do to create one of these deliveries. For such an incredible ability, 10 magic stones are needed. Since he is facing a group of wyverns, he decides to use the magic stones to enhance something. After deciding he'll scout alone, Jang-hoon decides to secretly take the wyverns and enhance his abilities along the way. Mr. Jin-wook expresses his concern about him going alone, stating that it's dangerous to go alone. Another says you were being chased by a wyvern until just now. Jang-hoon thanks them for trusting him. Mr. Choi asks if it's the first time using his ability, and asks if he can see the message window. Jang-hoon responds that he hasn't seen it since awakening his abilities. Wook replies I'm worried, and Jang-hoon thinks that he needs to drive, but if he can't, then he can just walk. He finds something is happening. Jang-hoon is driving erratically because there are too many cars on the road, and it's difficult to see. There's a wyvern ahead. Should we keep going? Asks someone, but Jang-hoon is blinded. A car is destroyed by the wyvern. A terrifying snake, like wyvern, looms over the protagonist. He is encouraged to keep driving. Look ahead. The wyvern attacks. Jang-hoon rides away on his bicycle. Absolutely, don't look back at all. Jang-hoon asks, yes, Jeongyeon. Ah, I can see the tunnel over there. Why did you suddenly stop? He sees many wyverns ahead and realizes, it seemed, that we're screwed. The wyverns shriek, it's over. One thinks to himself, even with electric bikes, there's no way we can wrangle this many wyverns. There's no way we can outrun them or kill them with Jeongyeon's ability. It's all over. Jang-hoon realizes he can't hide his abilities any longer. A notification appears indicating that it will cost 5 magic stones to reduce the cooldown. He wonders if he should use it all on packs. While considering, what are you going right now? A wyvern approaches. He is on his bicycle. He exclaims ship. While struggling, after shipping, he is relieved. Dazed, he asks, what happened? Jang-hoon uses packs. Jang-hoon spends 1 mana stone, reducing the cooldown time to 6 seconds. The system notes that to reduce it further, you need to level up the subspace. Leaving the survivors behind, Jang-hoon says to himself from now on, you need to stay right beside me. He says that's the only way I can protect you. Got it? The snake wyvern emerges, screeching loudly. Jang-hoon appears between the wyvern and the others. Another car is being attacked. He is struck, yelling no. The snake wyvern prepares to strike, as a man falls to the ground amidst the chaos. This is an unavoidable ability. He thinks to himself, understanding the weight of his power. Rising to his feet, he contemplates their dire situation. For Jeongyeon, these monsters aren't a problem. With a grim resolve, he thinks, I really just need the vehicle as a means of transportation. Jang-hoon realizes that while others may be jealous of his abilities, what matters most now is survival. Jeongyeon says, what should we do? While Wook observes Jang-hoon looking at mana stones. What is this blue stone? Asks Wook, seeing Jang-hoon enhance his abilities with it. Wook asks, is this your first time using a mana stone? He wonders to himself, so that's why you don't extract the stones from the orc's corpse. Jang-hoon is questioned about his kindness, as Mr. Jin-wook introduces himself and thanks the protagonist for saving Yangsu and Byungcheol. Jang-hoon introduces himself and is welcomed. Jang-hoon is told that the logistics center has disappeared, shocking the survivors who previously relied on it. It is stated that the wyvern chased them because of this occurrence. The protagonist perks up when vehicles are mentioned and asks if there are any working vehicles. With the logistics center gone, the survivors decide to go through the tunnel to the west. Wook tells them that they must get through. Jiang Hoon then decides that if they have vehicles, then he must accompany them through the tunnel. Jiang Hoon decides that if it's just wyverns blocking the tunnel, then that's good. He knows he can catch them with his ability. The group prepares to depart. The protagonist deciding not to show them his abilities, thinking they may catch wind. But don't overdo it for one game. He knows he has 5 magic stones, allowing him to reduce the cooldown to 2 seconds. Jiang Hoon is confronted with the choice to enhance or create a delivery, and decides to enhance. He is shocked at what he has to do to create one of these deliveries, noting for such an incredible ability, 10 magic stones are needed. Jiang Hoon decides he'll scout alone, taking the wyverns along the way and enhancing his abilities. Mr. Jin Wook says it's dangerous to go alone. Another member asks you were being chased by a wyvern until just now. Mr. Choi asks if it's the first time he's using his ability. Wook tells him I'm worried. He finds something is happening. Driving erratically, Jiang Hoon has trouble seeing. Should we keep going? Asks someone, but Jiang Hoon is blinded by the wyvern. The snake, like wyvern, looms over the protagonist. The wyvern attacks. As Jiang Hoon rides away on his bicycle, someone shouts absolutely, don't look back at all. He sees the tunnel ahead. Why did you suddenly stop? He sees many wyverns ahead and realizes, it seemed, that we're screwed. The others realize even with electric bikes, there's no way we can wrangle this many wyverns. Jiang Hoon realizes he can't hide his abilities any longer. Noticing that a notification appears that it will cost 5 magic stones to reduce the cooldown. As a wyvern approaches, he shouts ship. While struggling, dazed, he then uses packs. Jiang Hoon spends 1 mana stone, reducing the cooldown time to 6 seconds. The system notes that to reduce it further, you need to level up the subspace. He says to himself from now on, you need to stay right beside me. That's the only way I can protect you. Got it. The snake wyvern appears. As Jiang Hoon appears between the wyvern and the others, he is struck, yelling no. The snake wyvern prepares to strike. Rising to his feet, he thinks, for Jiangyon, these monsters aren't a problem, and realizes, I really just need the vehicle as a means of transportation. He thinks that while others may be jealous of his abilities, what matters most now is survival. Jiangyon asks, what should we do? While Wook observes Jiang Hoon looking at mana stones, asking what is this blue stone? Wook then wonders, so that's why you don't extract the stones from the orc's corpse. Jiang Hoon is confident that he can protect everyone with this kind of power, but is careful not to reveal too much of his intentions. As Jiangyon gets in his way, he says I'm sorry. Jiang Hoon states that he is going to head back. Worrying about another wyvern attack, he is asked by someone on how far he is going if he needs a vehicle. Saying that he needs to get to where his family is, he tells them that he's heading to Indiakwan on the way to Gangnam. A member asks if he could go with him to Indiakwan. He responds, even if I pass through the tunnel, I'm not sure I can get home safely. He is then told that he will be in charge of the driving, and Jiang Hoon is in charge of taking out the monsters. To this he agrees. Jiang Hoon decides to go with them, but will keep his ability hidden. Someone asks, if you don't go with me, there's no one left. All right, please drive us to Indiakwan, says one of the survivors as he gives his thanks. The protagonist considers the offer, but states that he will handle the tunnel himself, and that given their situation, he does not want his abilities to be revealed. The rest of the survivors are shocked, but Wook assures them that Jiang Hoon will do his part. Another says so, Mr. Jiang Hoon will break through the tunnel on his own. Another states that they should just remain silent. One asks, can't you tell us how he's going to do it? They decide to trust him, but know that they can't wait for him to clear the tunnel. It's up to them to scout the tunnel in exchange for food. One states, I'm sorry that all we can offer is our thanks. The protagonist says he will clear the tunnel for everyone. The others say thank you. No, it's just. Jiang Hoon attempts to deflect the praise, feeling undeserving, suggesting this food must have been saved for your families. I'm okay, so you can take it back. However, Jin Wook insists, just accept it, Mr. Jiangjun. If you reject it, that would be too harsh. He reminds Jiang Hoon that he too has a family to return to. He remembers what it was like back then, back when his family was still together. The survivors propose drinking together, toasting to a safe passage and their families. To the safety of our families, cheers. Jiang Hoon steels himself for the task ahead, thinking, don't worry, go home right. The next day, Jiang-hoon approaches the tunnel, promising himself I'll be back. Jiang-hoon, covered in blood, rides into the tunnel. A montage of his life flashes before him. From his childhood, arguments with his sister to his parents' admonishments. Overwhelmed, he realizes just how precious and grateful family truly is. He knows he's doing all this to protect his family. With the image of his family etched in his mind, Jiang-hoon steels himself for the dangers ahead. He vows I'll be back. As he rides his bicycle into the darkness of the tunnel. As he ventures deeper, a montage of cherished memories floods his mind. Playful arguments with his sister, his parents' loving guidance. He knows that family is truly precious, and what he is fighting to save. So the memory fuels his resolve. Jiang-hoon rides into the tunnel, knowing that even with ample stock, they have generously distributed food, and he thinks Mr. Jung Jae-yoon, just what are you? As he defeats a monster, he wishes he could put the people into subspace and pass through, but at the current subspace level, it's not possible. To reach subspace level 2, he would need to collect a lot of points. Jiang-hoon checks the screen which says the remaining wyverns in this tunnel are, at most, about 40. He understands that in order to eventually put his family into the subspace, he will need to level up. He continues to attack, and sees many wyverns in the darkness. He then sees something above. The survivors are cheering him on. The survivors are happy he's clearing the tunnel, with one wondering is Mr. Jung Jae-yoon really okay on his own? Another says if we try to help and end up making things worse. Let's just hold on and wait a little longer. Another shouts looks Mr. Jung Jae-yoon is coming back. Jiang-hoon rides back into the tunnel and thinks I'll need to defeat the remaining wyverns and secure the tunnel. He then sees 40 wyverns above him, thinking about how he can upgrade his powers to save people. The survivors begin cheering him on. The survivors are amazed at Jiang-hoon's abilities and are thankful. He must have taken out all the wyverns in the tunnel. Another member hopes that Jiang-hoon comes back safely. Youngjin then looks over the others and asks himself if the group will be safe. Thinking that it is time to head out, Youngjin thanks the leader for his support. The leader tells them that if they are in danger, then they can break open the cargo hole. Youngjin then says to himself that it is now time to leave the tunnel. Inside the truck, Youngjin ponders over what the wyvern was. He suspects it may have been the adult. Youngjin then hears a screech and realizes they are already being attacked. Inside the truck, Jiangjin ponders over what the wyvern was, suspecting it may have been the adult. Suddenly, a screech pierces the air, and he realizes they are already under attack. We have no choice, one of the survivors says, noting that there are corpses, overturned vehicles and bodies everywhere. Youngjin realizes the situation is worse than he thought. He thinks to himself, if my subspace had been leveled by 1, maybe. Mr. Jung Jae-yoon, the road seems to be blocked. Someone says, observing the barrier, we'll have to find another route. One man states over there, at the end of the bridge, there's something. Another says this barbed wire seems to have been put up by the military. It looks like they meant to block something. Youngjin realizes what they were trying to block. The driver tells him that he'll turn the car around. Yongsu asks is it possible for that vehicle to proceed on that sidewalk over there by the road. Answering him, he says that it's narrow, but they should be able to get through. With a smile, Youngjin says, I just thought of a good way to get through here. No need to turn back. Let's go that way. Jiang-hoon has an idea. He believes there's a way to proceed, stating, it just occurred to me that probably here is a good choice. There's no need to face any other routes. Let's go there. He says, it was something I was considering, wondering when would it be to use, but it turns out to be in situations like this. He is able to unlock auto ship. He notes that enhancement is having stones. The probability is something I have to handle. It's hope. Jiang-hoon states good. If you've already found a map, you can come here. He believes it's playtime as he begins to attack the monsters. Jiang-hoon tests out his new auto ship ability, shipping a refrigerator at the monsters. The sheer weight of the refrigerator crushes the monsters. He realizes this couldn't be more convenient. There's no need to keep watching. Armed with this new skill, he declares Pax, keep holding on. All right. He thinks before shipping refrigerators to defeat the monsters. A zombie looks up to see a refrigerator fall on it. Another exclaims in confusion, what's that? Launching a refrigerator? I thought he could only throw axes. He continues launching the refrigerators. A survivor questions even if it's the logistics center, does it make sense for them to have so many in stock? The refrigerators continue to ship toward the monsters. Someone questions could it be that the stock being retrieved is coming out as new products. Axes are being retrieved and refrigerators are fitted for the refrigerator. What's going on? Someone asks, baffled. Inside the truck, Mr. Yongsu asks Mr. Jiangyon, would you like something to eat? Someone asks, perhaps, is the stock infinite? Inside the car, a survivor asks, oh, didn't you know? I thought you were collecting the axes to reload them, but it seems you're actually retrieving them and then fitting them again. Another adds, a survivor then states, oh, that's not it. If I didn't retrieve them back, it would just be scattered on the road and could damage your tires, so I retrieved them back. I see how you could misunderstand. The man states, well then, is it true that it's infinite? He replies yes. He exclaims, oh my. Another member offers the protagonist food, inquiring, so what do you want to eat? By the way, I'm ashamed, says a survivor, embarrassed that he doesn't know the protagonist's abilities. However, the survivors wanted to share food with him. He's told, thank you for trusting me. I am grateful. And someone responds, thank you to Mr. Jiang-yeon, cleaning up the monsters. I think I'll be able to get home soon. A survivor notes that it is an hour away from his house. Another adds, then you'll be able to see your family soon. You can't show up like this to your family, right? Someone says, motioning towards Jiang-yeon's bloody appearance. I think it will take some time for the road to get sorted out. At least, let's get some new clothes for the time being, he thinks. He asks, do you have a preferred style? He thinks, haha, you're even helping me out with clothing. Mr. Jin-wook comments on Jiang-yeon's new clothes and asks if he prefers suits. They see most of the drugs being collected, stating that they should leave right away and that their efforts are durable to this extent. As they move, Jiang-hoon steps on the ground, destroying a zombie. The truck continues driving through the zombie-infested areas. He is told to hold on tight, Mr. Jiang-hoon. It'll only take 20 minutes. Jiang-hoon is asked if he needs a bit of rest. As he looks back at the zombies, we have arrived, is stated. The protagonist and survivors arrive at the apartment complex where Mr. Yongsu believes his family resides, but the area is dilapidated. Yongsu rushes toward the building, determined to see his family despite the risks. However, when he's faced with the prospect of finding his loved ones as corpses, he hesitates, unable to bring himself to press the security code to open the door. Jiang-hoon, understanding his hesitation, offers to press the button instead, thinking to himself that if it were him, he'd rather have someone else open the door for him. Yongsu agrees, and with a heavy heart, Jiang-hoon presses the button. With the apartment complex in sight, Mr. Yongsu is faced with the prospect of pressing the security code to open the door to his family's apartment. The protagonist, seeing his hesitation, offers to do it for him. Through the doorway, a woman's voice calls out honey, and a little girl exclaims dad. Overcome with emotion, Yongsu's wife asks, really? Is it really you? The reunion is tearful and joyous as Yongsu embraces his family. Yongsu's wife, through tears, asks, how did you know to open the door? She explains that she heard a noise and looked through the peephole. Overwhelmed with joy, she states, I'm so glad you're safe. Really glad? The little girl shouts, Dad, I hate you. Yongsu then acknowledges Jiang-hoon, introducing him to his family and saying, this is the benefactor who helped me get here safely. The woman and child bow respectfully, thanking him profusely. As Jiang-hoon stands there, Yongsu's daughter runs up to him, saying, ah, this person, he's that famous. Mr. Kim asks Jiang-hoon if he will sleep here. Jiang-hoon says, I can't sleep here. I can't take it anymore. Jiang-hoon finds himself reflecting on the recent events, pondering, why aren't you crying? He recalls that partings do not always bring sadness, but rather all kinds of emotions that remind him of the time they spent together. He reflects on the affection, gratitude, regret, and longing he feels, understanding that there's no need for a farewell to only be sad. He is grateful for the true essence of love he has experienced. That consists of a heart that cares, without expecting anything in return. Even though it is difficult to understand, he hopes Jiang-yeon will realize, as time passes and he grows up, that giving and receiving love is never easy. Jiang-hoon then remembers a past interaction with his sister, as they were younger. His sister lightly hit him with a pillow, but he claims that it hurts, and calls her scary. His sister then tells him not to hit her, but he claims that it hurts when she does. She responds, saying that she grabbed a pillow to hit him softly, calling him a crybaby. Jiang-hoon then shouts, I hate being a kid, followed by stating, I'm going to title part everything. Jiang-hoon recalls that he and his sister, despite the bickering, seemed to get along well. Over a meal, his mother asks his sister Jaeyeon to stop playing with her phone and come eat. She asks if she has a crush, as she's been on her phone a lot lately. Jaehyun responds, "Mom, I'm in middle school, and friends text each other a lot these days." Jaehyun is then elbowed by a sibling. The family sits around a dinner table, discussing a young girl going to middle school. They tell her that the school has a boxing sports club. One of the members even chose her school because of it. Jung-hoon is shown to be wearing a middle school uniform, with the caption "Middle School." A banner reading "Congratulations on your admission to the Young Korean Middle School" is shown. "It's finally here," is stated in the screen. He is wearing a new school uniform, but still, it's just school uniform. He thinks. Violence erupts. As the protagonist engages in a brutal fight, we see a man punching another with his fist. A character in a tracksuit is shown. We then see a new character, who then states, "This won't do. From now on, you should join the morning exercise too." Another character is then shown, bewildered. The protagonist is shown in middle school. As we see a banner reading "Congratulations on your admission to the Young Korean Middle School." He reflects, but still, it's just school uniform. Then violence erupts, as the protagonist engages in a brutal fight. Afterwards, a new character arrives and says, "This won't do. From now on, you should join the morning exercise too." Through the doorway, a woman's voice calls out, "Honey," and a little girl exclaims, "Dad." Overcome with emotion, Young-soo's wife asks, "Really? Is it really you?" The reunion is tearful and joyous as Young-soo embraces his family. Young-soo's wife, through tears, asks, "How did you know to open the door?" She explains that she heard a noise and looked through the peephole. Overwhelmed with joy, she states, "I'm so glad you're safe. Really glad." The little girl shouts, "Dad, I hate you." Young-soo then acknowledges Jung-hoon, introducing him to his family and saying, "This is the benefactor who helped me get here safely." The woman and child bow respectfully, thanking him profusely. As Jung-hoon stands there, Young-soo's daughter runs up to him, saying, "Ah, this person, he's that famous." Mr. Kim asks Jung-hoon if he will sleep here. Jung-hoon says, "I can't sleep here. I can't take it anymore." Jung-hoon finds himself reflecting on the recent events, pondering, "Why aren't you crying?" He recalls that partings do not always bring sadness, but rather all kinds of emotions that remind him of the time they spent together. He reflects on the affection, gratitude, regret, and longing he feels, understanding that there's no need for a farewell to only be sad. He is grateful for the true essence of love he has experienced. That consists of a heart that cares, without expecting anything in return. Even though it is difficult to understand, he hopes Jeongyeon will realize, as time passes and he grows up, that giving and receiving love is never easy. Jung-hoon then remembers a past interaction with his sister, as they were younger. His sister lightly hit him with a pillow, but he claims that it hurts, and calls her scary. His sister then tells him not to hit her, but he claims that it hurts when she does. She responds, saying that she grabbed a pillow to hit him softly, calling him a crybaby. Jung-hoon then shouts, "I hate being a kid," followed by stating, "I'm going to title part everything." Jung-hoon recalls that he and his sister, despite the bickering, seemed to get along well. Over a meal, his mother asks his sister Jaehyun to stop playing with her phone and come eat. She asks if she has a crush, as she's been on her phone a lot lately. Jaehyun responds, "Mom, I'm in middle school, and friends text each other a lot these days." Jaehyun is then elbowed by a sibling. The family sits around a dinner table, discussing a young girl going to middle school. They tell her that the school has a boxing sports club. One of the members even chose her school because of it. Jung-hoon is shown to be wearing a middle school uniform, with the caption, "Middle School." A banner reading "Congratulations on your admission to the Young Korean Middle School" is shown. "It's finally here," is stated in the screen. He is wearing a new school uniform, but still, it's just school uniform. He thinks. Violence erupts. As the protagonist engages in a brutal fight, we see a man punching another with his fist. A character in a tracksuit is shown. We then see a new character, who then states, "This won't do. From now on, you should join the morning exercise too." Another character is then shown, bewildered. The protagonist is shown in middle school. As we see a banner reading "Congratulations on your admission to the Young Korean Middle School." He reflects, but still, it's just school uniform. Then violence erupts, as the protagonist engages in a brutal fight. Afterwards, a new character arrives and says, "This won't do. From now on, you should join the morning exercise too." With Young-soo's permission, Jung-hoon steels himself and presses the apartment's security code. A voice calls out, hope lacing the tone. Young-soo's wife asks, really? Is it really you? The moment is heart-wrenching, the family reunited in a tearful embrace. The wife is overwhelmed with joy as the little girl exclaims, Dad, I hate you. Young-soo introduces Jung-hoon, this is the benefactor who helped me get here safely. Overcome with gratitude, Young-soo's daughter recognizes Jung-hoon. Kim offers Jung-hoon a place to sleep, but Jung-hoon states, I can't sleep here. I can't take it anymore. Jung-hoon contemplates his emotions, understanding there's more than just sadness in a farewell. It's the memories, love, and longing that truly matter. He is grateful for a heart that cares, without expecting anything in return. Even though it is difficult to understand, he hopes Jeong-yeon will realize, as time passes and he grows up, that giving and receiving love is never easy. A flashback shows Jung-hoon's sister playfully hitting him with a pillow. Despite their bickering, Jung-hoon and his sister Jaein seem to get along well. Over a family meal, their mother tells Jaein to put her phone away, asking if she has a crush. Mom, I'm in middle school, and friends text each other a lot these days, Jaein responds. At the family dinner, the conversation revolves around Jaein starting middle school, with talk of the school's boxing club. It's finally here, is stated, and we see Jung-hoon wearing his middle school uniform. But still, it's just school uniform. He thinks, however, school life takes a turn as violence erupts. A new character arrives on the scene, stating, this won't do. From now on, you should join the morning exercise too. Jung-hoon is shown to be wearing a middle school uniform. As a banner reads, congratulations on your admission to the Young Korean Middle School. He thinks, but still, it's just school uniform. Suddenly, violence erupts, as the protagonist engages in a brutal fight. A new character then states, this won't do. From now on, you should join the morning exercise too. Another character is shown, bewildered. Jung-hoon, now in middle school, attends Young Korean Middle School. But still, it's just school uniform. He thinks, his school life quickly takes a turn for the violent. A new character suddenly interjects, stating, this won't do. From now on, you should join the morning exercise too. Another character is shown, bewildered. A classmate bullies Jung-hoon after school. Jung-hoon has scratches and marks all over his face, before another classmate offers him a handkerchief to clean himself with. He walks home in a bad mood. The classmate who lent the handkerchief walks with Jung-hoon. Jung-hoon asks his new acquaintance why he is hanging around with someone like him. The classmate explains that he has a morbid curiosity. Jung-hoon, confused, asks what morbid curiosity is. I just wanted to see what you were going to do after getting your ass kicked so bad, is the classmate's response. His classmate says, I think you should take revenge on those bastards no matter what. His classmate reveals his name is Lee Young-yeon. Don't you want to do it? Young-yeon asks Jung-hoon, before the two go to the arcade to play games. The episode closes with Young-yeon smiling. This is pretty fun, isn't it? Jung-hoon celebrates passing the airline school exam. Jung-hoon works on his computer late at night, as another person informs him, Jung-hoon, I think the time has come. Jung-hoon receives a military enlistment notice. Jung-hoon departs, surrounded by family and friends wishing him well. His mother urges, make sure you come back safe, don't get hurt. A parent tells him, don't be discouraged, my son. As Jung-hoon walks away, his family waves. Jung-hoon tears up as he departs. Jung-hoon wakes up in confusion, wondering where he is and if he fainted. He remembers meeting his family and acknowledges that his life is already in the past. He is aware of the ability that he possesses. Are you awake? A voice asks, with a woman and child close by. The protagonist is in the subspace, trying to understand his ability, thinking, what is my ability? His ability is own subspace. It says he can store an object in front of him in the subspace, and nothing can enter unless he allows it. If it's true that I can store anything in this subspace, he thinks, then what would I store? Before deciding to store the earth, he says store it. He fails to store earth, stating damn. He says I figured it wouldn't work. Yeah, I really didn't. The protagonist is given directions to Gangnam. Before deciding if we take this main road, it'll be better. The survivors are glad to see Young-soo reunited with his family, but Young-yeon is worried about the safety of the others. Mr. Kim acknowledges Young-yeon's help, and the survivors express their gratitude. Young-yeon reflects on the emotions he is experiencing. Thinking, a heart that cares, without expecting anything in return. Jang-hoon thinks about his past, recalling his sister calling him a crybaby, and a flashback to the dinner table occurs. It is announced that the sister will go to middle school. Then, we see Jang-hoon attending middle school, with violence ensuing and the protagonist getting beat up. Someone then offers Yoon morning exercise, causing the protagonist to reflect on his middle school life. Yoon befriends a classmate, Lee Yoon. As they play at the arcade, Jang-hoon celebrates his acceptance into airline school. He receives his military enlistment notice, with his family telling him to be safe. Jang-hoon wakes up in a mysterious location, recalling meeting his family. A woman and child look on. He contemplates what his ability is, learning it is called own subspace, which allows him to store objects. He attempts to store the earth, failing to do so. He is given directions to Gangnam, planning his route. The group discovers military barricades equipped with spike strips. One survivor wonders if the military is still around, but another doesn't think so, noting that the vehicles and weapons are military, but the people aren't. The survivors think they are being watched. What do we do? One asks before opening a small portal under the steering wheel. If those who were watching intended to kill them, they would have shot already. The protagonist thinks as he notes that there are 3 of them. The protagonist is told that driver sucks. I was hoping to see the tires burst. He is then asked what is going on. Get out now with the cargo, the protagonist is told. So you're a delivery guy, one asks, to which the protagonist confirms. He is then told no, it's not yours, it's ours now. Where did you get these? He is asked. From a logistics center is the response. He is told that the roads to get to the logistics center are blocked. He responds that if they need more, he can get them more. He is asked how much of the food he has, to which he responds that he is only carrying a fraction. He assures them that he has more supplies if they need them. Brother, its time is stated. The protagonist is told give the food. It's time for work. All right, get this truck moving. I'll take him. Youngjin is punched and collapses to his knees. Sir, this is Seokjun. A man says, all right, bring him in. Seokjun asks this the guy. He says he's brought food and supplies loaded on a truck, gathered from the Guro Logistics Center. Let me take a look at the supplies. He is then stabbed. All right, I've heard a bit from the guys. You brought food and supplies loaded on the truck, didn't you? A soldier's corpse is shown, with Jang-hoon stating, I wondered where you were touching someone else's women, and had their head. Where do you think your head was? A man asks. Youngjin wonders where he is, asking what's going on. He realizes he is at the Command Corporation Communications headquarters. He says I'm exempt from service, so I don't really know. A man prepares for a task, as someone asks to confirm his name. He wonders what's going on. And someone says just wait, it's almost time, and the guy will be here soon. There is shooting. A man says it's already here. He asks what is that, before realizing it is a wyvern. He confirms yeah, it's massive, isn't it? That thing's no joke. He reflects that he almost died to it. He sees a soldier who died. The man decides to recruit people to fight monsters, and decides to take over. There's plenty of weapons and everything here, but they're out of food. He asks someone to go to the logistics center and get some food. He invites the protagonist to join them, stating that it will be great for you. He continues, saying, we can protect you from monsters, like that one. He is pondering what to put in the packs. The man is asked if he wants to die. Realizing he is in danger, the protagonist stores the Joint Command Communications headquarters in the subspace.